Part 19. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 181. The reason why Wang Yun asked Cao to assassinate Dong Zhou was precisely because of his keen eye for recognizing talents. As early as when Cao first entered Luoyang as a Langguan, he was in charge of palace confinement and was not afraid of the powerful. He hung a five-color stick and strictly enforced the law. Even the uncle of Jianchuo, the most trusted eunuch of Emperor Ling of the Han dynasty at that time, violated the ban and was directly killed by Cao. Cao's lack of fear of powerful people left a deep impression on Wang Yun, so when looking for someone to assassinate Dong, Wang Yun's first thought was Cao. So Wang Yun called Cao to his home, prepared wine and food for him, and told Cao his thoughts. Cao did not shirk this, nor was he afraid of the consequences of failure. Because at this time, he was just a little-known person. Although Cao's father, Cao Song, was the adopted son of the former great eunuch Cao Tang, who was a powerful eunuch during the reign of Emperor Huan, Cao, as the adopted son of a eunuch, had always been looked down upon by other gentry children since he was a child. Especially compared to Fa Xiao Yuan Shao, his status is even more humble. Therefore, in order to gain more fame, he was willing to risk his life to assassinate Dong Zhou. Moreover, Cao had long been interested in killing Dong Zhou because he bullied his master and manipulated his power, and he was cruel and cruel. Therefore, he often visited the Prime Minister's mansion and gradually gained Dong Zhou's trust. He wanted to use Dong Zhou's trust in him to paralyze Dong Zhou and kill him. However, Cao knew that Dong Zhou was timid and afraid of death and was suspicious by nature, so he almost always wore a special chainmail armor that was difficult to pierce with ordinary swords and guns. Upon hearing this, Wang Yun took out the family heirloom sword 7-star sword and handed it to Cao. Cao took it and found that the sword was indeed a magic weapon, so he left Wang Yun's mansion with the sword. The next day, Cao hid the 7-star sword in his arms and came to the palace to pay his respects to Dong Zhou as usual. Dong Zhou couldn't sit for a long time because of his obesity. After chatting with Cao for a while, he lay down with his back to Cao. Cao was waiting on him, and it didn't take long for Dong Zhou to fall asleep. So Cao quickly seized this opportunity and drew out the 7-star sword to assassinate Dong Zhou. Unexpectedly, there happened to be a large mirror behind Dong Zhou. The light reflected from the 7-star sword passed through the mirror and awakened Dong Zhou. Dong Zhou stood up in a hurry and asked, "Ment, what are you doing?" At this time, Lu Buletin came in with his horse. Cao hurriedly said, "I got a precious sword, and I want to give it to the Prime Minister." Dong Zhou took the sword and saw that it was long and full. The ruler is extremely sharp, and it is indeed a precious sword. At this time, Cao knew that the assassination had failed and was worried that it would be too late if he didn't leave, so he said to Dong Zhou, "I just thought that there are urgent matters to deal with, so I have to leave first." Dong Zhou was still immersed in the excitement of getting the sword at this time, and he couldn't even think about it. I agreed without thinking. Then Cao led the horse out of the Prime Minister's mansion and galloped toward the southeast with a whip. At this time, Lu Buletin asked Cao why he came, and Dong Zhou took out the 7-star sword and told him what had just happened. After hearing this, Lu Buletin said to Dong Zhou, Cao seems to be planning an assassination. If he really wanted to offer the sword, shouldn't he have taken it out as soon as he entered the door? How could he wait until his foster father fell asleep before taking it out? Besides, why should he unsheath the sword when offering it? The gesture in his hand before offering the sword was not the gesture of offering the sword, but more like preparing to assassinate. Dong Zhou suddenly woke up after hearing Lu Buletin's words, so he sent people to hunt down Cao. But at this time, Cao had already galloped out of the east gate and escaped without a trace. Cao knew that after today's assassination, Dong Zhuo would definitely arrest him. It was obvious that he could no longer stay in Luoyang, so he hurriedly fled to Qingzhou. Dong Zhuo was very angry about Cao's betrayal, and even ordered counties around Luoyang to put a reward on Cao's head. However, Dong Zhuo's approach not only failed to help him catch Cao, but instead made Cao's reputation spread throughout the world. As much as Dong Zhuo hated Cao's reputation was as strong as his. At this time, Cao had gained fame and popularity, and he would naturally attract countless talented people to join him. Cao also used his popularity to recruit troops and prepare to develop his own power. After learning that Cao had left Luoyang to develop independently, the first people to join Cao were his cousins Euro Ziahe Dun and Ziahe Yuan. These two men are not only excellent in martial arts, but they have also been familiar with military books since childhood, and are quite capable of leading troops in war. Cao was naturally very happy about the arrival of Ziahe Dun and Ziahe Yuan. Later, Li Dian from Shanyang and Li Jin from Pingyang also took refuge in Cao's tent. Coupled with the subsequent arrival of Cao's younger brothers Cao Ren and Cao Hong, Cao's strength grew rapidly. At the same time, Yuan Shao, who used the excuse of resisting Gong Sun for Dong Zhuo, was also developing rapidly in Bohai County. With the influence of the fourth and third princes of the Yuan family in Runan and his disciples and former officials from all over the country, Yuan Shao quickly recruited a large number of civil servants and generals. Among them there are many super generals like Yan Liang and Wen Zhou. On Cao's side, a few days later, a thin young man found Cao. This young man is dressed as a scribe, and you can tell by looking at his clothes that he is definitely not a son of a wealthy family. After seeing Cao, he said to Cao, I am playing Zhike in Yingchuan. I heard that Cao assassinated the dong thief alone. I admired him and came here to see Cao. Although Cao was young at this time, his vision was very vicious. The moment he saw 11's Zhike, he had a feeling that the young man in front of him definitely had great talent. Because Cao was born into a family of eunuchs, he did not value family status. For talented people, whether they were from poor families or noble families, he could only promote them on their own merits. So he was not arrogant, but bowed and asked, Sir, you came to Qingzhou to see me, and you must not just come to Qingzhou just to see me. I don't know if you have any advice, but I will listen attentively. 11's Zhike did not expect that the world-famous Cao Mend was so polite to the corporal and did not look down on himself because of his background. He was deeply touched at the moment. So he asked, I wonder what Duke Cao is planning now. Cao said, now Dong Zhuo is in control of the government, and the princes everywhere are in chaos. I want to develop my power first, and then unite people with lofty ideals to attack Dong Zhuo. 11's Zhike said, since Duke Cao has this intention, please listen to what I say next. Since the Yellow Turban Rebellion, although Zhang Jiao and 3 others have been executed, the Yellow Turban uprising has been suppressed. However, there are still many Yellow Turban soldiers in Qingzhou, known as an army of 1 million. Although they are said to be in the millions, but most of them are the family members of young and strong men. They have been in Qingzhou for many years, but they are relatively chaotic. Cao Gong only needs to send a large army to conquer them. And although these Qingzhou Yellow Turbans are in chaos at this time, they are not how much fighting power there is, and there are many young and strong among them. With a little training, they will become an elite force. After hearing 11's Zhike's suggestion, Cao's eyes lit up and he hurriedly asked Cao would like to worship Mr. Cao as his military advisor and make suggestions for Cao. I wonder if you are willing, sir. 11's Zhike smiled and said, it's my wish, but I don't dare to ask my heirs. Three Kingdoms, I have a job transfer palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 182. After Cao obtained the allegiance of the Super Counselor 11's He, he immediately followed 11's He's plan to suppress the Qingzhou Yellow Turbans. The result was exactly as 11's He expected. Although the Qingzhou Yellow Turbans had a large number of people, they were not trained and had no outstanding generals. They were a complete mob. Not long after the two sides fought, the other side surrendered directly. After this battle, Cao not only suppressed the Yellow Turbans in Qingzhou, but also saved the people of Qingzhou from dire straits, and his reputation was once again greatly enhanced. At the same time, with the help of suppressing the Yellow Turbans, Cao collected a large number of prisoners and trained these Yellow Turbans prisoners into the Qingzhou army, which greatly increased their strength. And Cao also took the opportunity to quickly control Qingzhou. After having his own territory and enough civil servants and generals, Cao's loyalty to the Han was rekindled. He was ready to unite all the princes in the world to attack Dongzhou. Lu Feng, who was far away in Liaodong, had already known through the Longchen newspaper in Luoyang that Cao had indeed brought Wang Yun's 7-star sword to assassinate Dongzhou as in history. It's a pity that the final result did not change because of his own time travel. After Cao was discovered, he still escaped using the excuse of offering his sword. This is a famous passage in later The Romance of the Three Kingdoms, and Lu Feng is naturally familiar with it. He didn't need to read the following information from Longchen newspaper to know that after Cao was discovered by Dongzhou and fled, he would immediately recruit troops and horses, and then he would start to publish a petition against Dongzhou, inviting all the princes of the world to jointly crusade against Dongzhou. But what Lu Feng didn't expect was that in history, Cao originally sold his property in Chenliu to raise an army, but now, Cao actually directly incorporated the Qingzhou Yellow Turbans and formed the Qingzhou army. This is several years earlier than in history. However, Lu Feng didn't care about this. What he was more looking forward to was when Cao would issue a petition to criticize Dong. Cao did not keep Lu Feng waiting for too long. 2 days later, Cao's message arrived in Liaodong and invited King Yiza Bingjian to join him in the crusade against the Dong thief. Lu Feng opened Cao's message and saw that it read Cao, in the name of world justice, declare to the world, Dongzhou deceived the sky above, violated the earth below, and even attempted to destroy our great Han dynasty and kill our king. In addition, Dongzhou, as a human subject, repeatedly violated the palace prohibitions, even sleeping on the emperor's dragon bed at night and committing adultery in the harem. In addition, he had always been cruel and unkind, disregarding life and killing creatures. The crimes he committed were beyond what normal people could do. Within the scope of tolerance. Now, Cao, failed to assassinate Dongzhou, escaped from Luoyang, and received a secret edict from the emperor. I ordered you to find a way to get rid of the national traitor Dongzhou and restore a peaceful world to the great Han dynasty. Therefore, I gathered the volunteers from all over the world and vowed to clear out the chaos. The remnants of treacherous ministers in China have strangled the ferocious national thieves like Dongzhou. Therefore, Cao is willing to take the lead in organizing all the princes to promote righteousness, jointly attack Dongzhou, vent public anger, support the Han royal family, and save the people of the world. Please all princes, please take control of the country. From the day of this message, we will organize troops and horses to jointly send troops to attack the Dong thieves. After Lu Feng read Cao's famous execution against the Dong thief, even if he knew the general content of it, he still couldn't help but feel his blood boiling. In Lu Feng's mind, the 18 Princes' crusade against Dongzhou was almost the beginning of an era in which heroes came together in large numbers at the end of the Eastern Han dynasty. Therefore, For such a crucial plot, Lu Feng naturally did not want to miss it, and he decided to personally lead his army to participate. However, Lu Yu had just died at this time, and Lu Feng was worried that his men would take advantage of his absence in Liaodong to avenge Lu Yu. After all, Gong Sunzan was defeated by Yuan Shao in history. Part of the reason was that he killed Lu Yu, which caused many wealthy families in Yuzhou to be dissatisfied with Gong Sunzan and joined forces with Wuhuan, Fuyu and other foreign tribes to avenge Lu Yu. Although Lu Yu's death now has little to do with him, after all, he and Lu Yu have been having constant conflicts, and after Lu Yu's death, he also annexed most of his territory. With such hatred, it was impossible to guarantee whether Lu Yu's remaining party would rebel after he left. Therefore, for the sake of safety, Lu Feng called Guojia to discuss countermeasures with him. Guojia naturally understood Cao's campaign against the Dong traders, so Lu Feng did not explain it to him. Instead, he asked straight to the point, Feng Xiao, I want to accept Cao Men's invitation to join the coalition of princes. What do you think about this? What do you think? Guojia thought carefully for a moment, and then said, My lord, joining the coalition of princes to attack Dongzhou, must be more beneficial than harmful to my lord. The conflict between my lord and Dongzhou has long been known to the world. That's why Cao invited my lord. Let's go together. Dongzhou's troubles and rebellious behavior have aroused the dissatisfaction of the people in the world. Those who have gained the right will get more help, while those who have lost the right will get less help. Dongzhou's defeat must be inevitable. Therefore, if the Lord joins the fight against Dong's coalition forces, he can not only get revenge, but also it is an excellent opportunity to accumulate fame. Moreover, the coalition of 18 princes will inevitably choose a leader. If the Lord has the power of the king, becoming a leader is definitely not a problem. If the Lord can become the leader of the coalition, it will be even more important for the Lord. A significant improvement in his status among the princes in the world. In addition, by participating in this discussion, the Lord can also see more other princes and deepen his understanding of them. I believe that it will not be long before these people will become our opponents or allies. Need to get to know them first at this time, so that we can know ourselves and the enemy, and win every battle. Lu Feng listened, nodded in agreement with Guojia, and then asked Feng Xiao, what do you think will be the outcome of this challenge to Dong? What will happen? Guojia thought for a moment, then frowned and said, Jia believes that although the princes have formed an alliance to defeat Dong, the result may not be very good. Although there will definitely be princes from all walks of life who are willing to join the alliance to defeat Dong. Those who are truly loyal to the Han dynasty and want to eliminate harm for the people, such as Cao, but I believe that more people just want to gain fame. Every prince needs to consider his own interests. Once the interests are not satisfied, conflicts will occur. But there is only one Dongzhou, and the people who can benefit must be a minority, so conflicts will definitely arise. Once conflicts arise, I am afraid that this alliance will not last long. Lu Feng listened to Guojia's analysis. I thought in my heart that Guojia was really powerful and got everything right. He then told Guojia about his concerns. Guojia did not find it difficult. He said, My lord, with the help of his red blood dragon riders, even if he cannot sweep Dongzhou's army, he can come and go freely. Besides, if my lord wants to become the leader of the alliance, he does not need to go into battle in person, and he does not need to bring too many with him soldiers and horses. As for Liaodong, Jiabi will ensure that the counties are not invaded. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 183. With Guojia's guarantee, Lu Feng would naturally not hesitate anymore. So Lu Feng said to Guojia, in that case, Liaodong and the surrounding counties will be handed over to Feng Xiao. With Feng Xiao guarding Liao Dong, I am naturally at ease. But now that Liaoxi, Lelang and other places have been tentatively decided, it may be possible there are still remnants of Lu Yu who will rebel while I am away in Liaodong. In addition, there may be foreign intrusions in Lelang, Western Liaoning and other places from time to time. Although Feng Xiao has a good plan, it is difficult for a clever woman to make a meal without rice, and there is no ability to do so. The leader of the army can't do it either. So Dian Wei, Zi, and Meng Qi, as well as the Long Liu soldiers, Long Baomen and Long Cheng cavalry commanded by them, are all left behind, all obeying Feng Xiao's command to ensure that Liaodong is safe. After hearing Lu Feng's words, Guojia hurriedly said, "No, my lord, Cao. Cao will unite the princes from all over the world to attack Dongzhou. Although he doesn't know how many people will respond in the end, it should not be too few. By then, there will definitely be many princes from all walks of life. If the Lord is alone, there will be no one to carry the message. What's more, the Lord only brings 3,000 red-blooded dragon knights. If he doesn't bring other generals, he may not be able to take the position of leader." Lu Feng smiled. Said, "Even if I am the only one, just by holding the position of king, all the princes will push me to take this position. But Feng Xiao, you have a heavy responsibility, and you can't have no soldiers. This matter is like the CETA Euro trademark S decided." Seeing that Lu Feng had made up his mind, Guojia stopped trying to persuade him. So Lu Feng led 3,000 red-blooded dragon riders to the place where the various princes gathered. At the same time, Gong Sunzan from Yubuping also led an army of 10,000 to join the coalition of princes. Gong Sunzan and Lu Feng were able to divide the entire Yuzhu equally because Lu Yu, the shepherd of Yuzhu, was killed by Gong Sunzan. Therefore, if Lu Yu's remnant party rebels and revolts, Gong Sunzan will definitely be the first target. In order to prevent himself from going to attack Dongzhou and his hometown being taken away after returning, he did not bring more troops, not even his personal guard Bama Yakong. Yuzhu is located on the northeastern border of the Han dynasty, and Liaodong is located to the east of Yuzhu. To the south is the Bohai Sea, and to the north is the territory of Suantu and Xianbei people. Therefore, if Lu Feng's army wants to leave Liaodong and enter the central plains, it must pass through Yubuping. Because when Lu Yu was preparing to unite the imperial army to attack Gong Sunzan, Lu Feng sent Guojia to Yubuping to remind Gong Sunzan, so Gong Sunzan was quite grateful to Lu Feng. If Lu Feng hadn't reminded him that Gong Sunzan didn't know that his killing of Guangxianyu's remnant army had been exposed, Gong Sunzan wouldn't have made up his mind to plot to kill Lu Yu. If that's the case, let alone Gong Sunzan, who can't hold half of Yuzhu as he does now, I'm afraid even Yu Beiping has been lost. With his strength at the time, it was obviously not enough to fight against the two armies of Lu Yu and the imperial court at the same time. And once defeated, the best result is to lose Yubuping, like a bereaved dog, wandering around without a fixed place. If you are lucky, you may be able to find a county or a county to establish a foothold. If you are not lucky, you may have to live under someone else's roof. There will no longer be a chance for independence. And this is his best result. If Lu Yu and the imperial army were really brave, Gong Sunzan might not even be able to escape. According to Lu Yu's hatred for Gong Sunzan, he is afraid that Gong Sunzan will definitely escape death if he falls into his hands. Therefore, Lu Feng's reminder was equivalent to saving Gong Sunzan's life. In addition, with the territory Gong Sunzan gained after killing Lu Yu, Lu Feng also gave Gong Sunzan a fortune. Although Lu Feng sent Guojia to remind Gong Sunzan that he had another purpose, which was to draw Gong Sunzan under his command, he did not force it after all. And his reminder did bring huge benefits to Gong Sunzan, so Gong Sunzan did not have any complaints about it. Coupled with the fact that the two had the same political philosophy towards foreigners, as well as Lu Feng's destruction of the entire Goguryeo, these made Gong Sunzan very fond of Lu Feng and full of respect for him. Since the two divided Liaodong equally, Gongsun-zan and Lu Feng have been living in friendly coexistence and have quite the intention of forming an alliance. Therefore, Gongsun-zan knew that Lu Feng's army would definitely pass through Yubuping if he wanted to join the alliance of princes against Dong, so he led his army to wait for Lu Feng's arrival in Yubuping, preparing to accompany Lu Feng. Lu Feng arrived at Yubuping, and after joining forces with Gongsun-zan, the two marched toward the Salai area together. When they led their army to Zhou County, they met Liu Bei, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei. Liu Bei took the initiative to say hello to Gongsun-zan and Lu Feng, and wanted to join Gongsun-zan's team to defeat Dongzhou. Liu Bei had met Lu Feng during the Yellow Turban Uprising. Although they had communicated with him, they were not familiar with him. However, he and Gongsun-zan have been friends for many years. When they were young, they studied under Lu Ji, who was the governor of Zhejiang at the same time. At that time, what Lu Ji taught them was not the way of marching and fighting, but Confucian classics. Therefore, Liu Bei didn't like studying very much. He spent all day playing with dogs and birds. Moreover, he was kind to his servants, kept his emotions and anger indifferent, and liked to make friends with heroes. Therefore, Gongsun-zan had a good relationship with Liu Bei. Gongsun-zan heard that Liu Bei participated in quelling the Yellow Turban Uprising and was granted an official position, so he was very surprised to see Liu Bei and hurried forward to ask. It turned out that Liu Bei had made some small achievements in quelling the Yellow Turban Uprising and was appointed by the imperial court as the county captain of Anxi County. But not long after, the imperial court issued a new policy to streamline officials. Those who were appointed as officials because of their military exploits had to undergo strict selection and a large number of people were eliminated. Liu Bei was about to be dismissed because he was unwilling to spend money to bribe the governor who came to select and eliminate officials. Zhang Fei couldn't suppress the anger in his heart, and after being drunk, he beat the governor violently. After Liu Bei found out, he knew that the county captain could not do his job at all, so he took Guan Yu and Zhang Fei to leave Anxi County overnight, preparing to go to Yubuping to join Gongsun-zan. When he arrived at Zhuozhen, Liu Bei learned that Cao had invited all the princes of the world to jointly attack Dongzhou. He knew that Gongsun-zan would definitely participate, so he stayed in Zhuozhen and waited for him. Gongsun-zan did not bring any generals with him when he participated in the alliance against Dong this time, so he was very happy about Liu Bei's surrender. He immediately appointed Liu Bei as the commander of another department and went to Salai together. After arriving in Sizhou, everyone found that there were indeed many people responding to Cao's call. A total of 19 princes came. The 18 routes are naturally the same as those in history. They are, Yuan Shu, the governor of Nanyang, Han Fu, the governor of Jizhu, Kong Min, the governor of Yuzhou, Lu Dai, the governor of Yanzhou, Wan Kuang, the governor of Hanoi County, Zhang Miao, the governor of Shenliu, Dong Jun Prefect Jiao Mao, Prefect of Shanyang Yuan Yi, Prime Minister of Jibai Bao Xian, Prefect of Bihai Kong Rong, Prefect of Guangling Zhang Chao, Prefect of Peking Gongsun-zan, Prefect of Shangdang Zhang Yang, Prefect of Changsha Sun Jian of Huachenho, Prefect of Kixiangbo Hai Yuan Shao, Zioki Cao, the school captain, Ma Teng, the governor of Ziliang, and Tao Qian, the governor of Sizhou. And the extra road is naturally the champion and the King Lu Feng. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 184. Among the 19 princes, each led a small number of soldiers and horses, ranging from 20,000 to 10,000. 18 of them were stationed dozens of miles outside Hulao Pass in the east of Luoyang. The camps of each prince stretched for 2 miles. More than 100 miles away, it is very spectacular. On the other hand, Ma Teng, the governor of Ziliang, came from Ziliang and was separated from the other 18 princes at the east and west ends of Luoyang and could not cross over, so he led his army to station outside Hang Pass in the west of Luoyang. Lu Feng knew that all the princes who could respond to Cao's call and join the coalition to attack Dongzhou only raised troops to join for their own interests. All they want is the reputation of being a loyal minister of the Han dynasty and eliminating thieves for the country. Therefore, no one is willing to give up his entire family fortune. After all, the world is now almost in chaos. Gong Sunzan's plan to kill Lu Yu can almost be said to be the prelude to the troubled times where princes from all over the world are fighting and attacking each other. Under such circumstances, no one would be willing to go out in full force to save a young emperor who even needed help with government affairs. After all, no one wants to go out to beg for thieves, only to find that their hometown has been beaten down when they come back. Therefore, most of the princes did not bring many soldiers and horses, but kept their troops in their hometowns for encirclement work. In addition to worrying about the safety of their hometown, everyone has their own thoughts. As the saying goes, one monk carries water to drink, 2 monks carry water to drink, and 3 monks have no water to drink. The reason why this happens is because everyone wants to get something for nothing. And the princes from all walks of life also held the same idea. If you bring too many people with you, wouldn't you have to deal with it yourself if something happens? At that time, you will be the one who loses the troops, but the reputation and credit belong to everyone. Instead of doing this, it is better for you to lead fewer troops, lose fewer people, and still gain the same reputation. On the other side, Dongzhou in Luoyang learned that the 18 princes gathered outside Hulao Pass, so he prepared to send his first general Lu Buledin to Hulao Pass to resist. At this time, although Lu Buledin had been in Bingzhou and rarely appeared in the Central Plains, his reputation had already spread throughout the Han dynasty. Lu Buledin has grown much taller than his peers since he was a child. When he was 7 or 8 years old, he could chase after children of 13 or 14 years old and beat them until they cried. After he came of age, Lu Buledin had been serving in Bingzhou because of his proficiency in bow and horse, bravery, and martial arts. After Ding Yuan became the governor of Bingzhou, he saw that La 1/4 Buledin was brave and no one in the army could defeat him, so he became interested in talents, promoted La 1/4 Buledin to his chief minister and adopted him as his adopted son. For many years in Bingzhou, Lu Buledin served as the commander of the Bingzhou Wolf Cavalry for a long time. Although there were only 3,000 people, no one from the entire foreign race in Bingzhou dared to underestimate this troop. Especially the commander-in-chief Lu Buledin, with his square halberd, fought all over Bingzhou with few opponents, and all the foreigners heard about Lu Buledin and fled. It can be said that the Bingzhou Wolf Cavalry led by Lu Buledin was born after Lu Feng and his Dragon City Iron Cavalry. Before, the entire Han dynasty was a nightmare for the foreign races around it. Because Lu Buledin was indeed very skilled in martial arts and had never been defeated in Bingzhou for many years. In addition, he often used one enemy to defeat many, and took the heads of generals from 10,000 troops like a bag of treasures. Therefore, Lu Buledin was said to be the most powerful general in the world. Later, Dongzhou entered Luoyang and took control of the power in the court. He knew that his behavior had completely offended the emperor, the nobles, and the court ministers, so in order to consolidate his rule and ensure his own safety, Dongzhou sent someone to secretly meet with Lu Buledin. In order for Lu Buledin to kill Ding Yuan and serve for himself, Dongzhou gave him the best horse in the world, the Red Rabbit horse, and appointed Lu Buledin as the cavalry commander after Ding Yuan's death. La 1/4 Buledin was very fond of the Red Rabbit horse given to him by Dongzhou, and immediately expressed his respect for Dongzhou as his adoptive father. Since then, Lu Buledin has become Dongzhou's most powerful general. Therefore, when Dongzhou saw that the alliance had many soldiers and generals, he wanted to directly send his most powerful general Lu Buledin to Hulao Pass to resist the alliance. At this time, someone stood up and said the coalition of princes is just a rabble in name only. To deal with this group of self-righteous wine sacks and rice sacks, wouldn't General Lu personally take action to kill a chicken with a butcher's knife? Xiangguo, General Lu, you guys will wait in Luoyang for a while, my subordinates are willing to go to Hulao to resist the coalition forces of the princes. Please wait for the news of the defeat and retreat of the coalition forces of the princes. Hearing this, Dong Zhou immediately looked at the speaker. But he saw that this man was 9 feet long, with the body of a tiger, the waist of a wolf, and the head of a leopard and the arms of an ape. He was none other than the fierce General Hwaseong of Kansai. Although Hwaseong is not as good as Lu Buledin in martial arts, he is still a famous and powerful general under Dong Zhou. When Dong Zhou saw Hwaseong volunteering, he immediately agreed. On the other side, the allied forces of the princes brought all the 18 armies except Ma Teng to the camp, and all the princes gathered in the central tent to discuss strategies to break the barrier. After everyone sat down, Wang Kuang, the prefect of Hanoi County, took the lead and said, "Dear colleagues, today more than a dozen of our princes gathered outside Hulao Pass to jointly attack the national traitor Dong Zhou. Although there are many talents in our army, Dong Zhou must be a warrior. We have won. But although we have many talents, after all, we are all princes of the same party, and it is inevitable that we will have differences on certain things. As the saying goes, a snake cannot move without a head, and an army without a leader will cause chaos. I suggest that we should first select one person to be the leader of the alliance against Dong and unified command of the coalition of princes." As soon as Wang Kuang said this, he immediately got the approval of everyone, and they all said that a person with high moral character, reputation, and strength should be selected to serve as the leader. Leader. Zhang Yang, the governor of Shangdang, had always been on good terms with Cao, so he was the first to say Cao, the commander of the valiant cavalry, is the initiator of this alliance of princes. In my opinion, Cao can be the leader of the alliance. After listening to Zhang Yang's words, Cao he hurriedly said, "Although I am the initiator of the alliance, Cao knows that his ability is limited and his reputation is small, so he cannot serve as the leader. Therefore, it is better to invite other talented people to serve as the leader." Han Fu, the shepherd of Jizhu, saw Cao's refusal and said hurriedly, "Yuan Shao, the prefect of Bohai, was once the captain of the Salai school and had outstanding abilities. He also came from the Yuan family in Runan. The Yuan family has 4 generations and 3 sons, which can be called the largest family in the world. Yuan Ben Chui Euro is an upright man and a polite corporal, so he can serve as the leader of the alliance. Han Fu is a disciple and former official of the Yuan family in Runan. It was because of the promotion of the Yuan family that he became the governor of Jizhu and later the shepherd of Jizhu, so he naturally supported Yuan Shao. As soon as Han Fu mentioned Yuan Shao, he was immediately recognized by nearly half of the princes. But Yuan Shao repeatedly declined and said although Shao comes from the Yuan family, he is still much inferior to Lu Feng, the king of Bingbian, who is a clan member of the Han dynasty. Therefore, Shao proposed that King Bingbian be the leader of the alliance. After hearing what Yuan Shao said, Lu Feng's lips curled up. He raised his head slightly and said, "Since brother Ben Chui Euro sincerely invites you, I can't refuse. In this case, I would rather obey your orders with due respect. 3 Kingdoms, I have a job transfer palace." Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 185. Yuan Shao's expression suddenly changed when he heard that Lu Feng actually agreed to his proposal instantly. In fact, in Yuan Shao's heart, he really wanted to be the leader of the alliance. It's just that because of his noble family background, he has developed an aristocratic temperament since he was a child. He always likes to disguise himself as a scholar official who disdains any power and wealth. Therefore, even though he wanted to become the leader of the alliance immediately and wanted to drive out everyone who disagreed with him as the leader, he still deliberately shied away to show his innocence. However, he looked around and found that no matter in terms of birth or reputation, among the 18 princes, the only ones who could compare with him were his half-brother Yuan Shu and his sidekick King Lu Feng. As for Yuan Shu, Yuan Shao has always disliked him. Although Yuan Shao was the eldest son of Yuan Feng, the head of the Yuan family, because Yuan Shao's mother was Yuan Feng's maid, Yuan Shao was just a concubine. Later, Yuan Shao's uncle Yuan Cheng had no children, so Yuan Feng adopted Yuan Shao to Yuan Cheng, which gave Yuan Shao the status of a legitimate son. Yuan Shao had a handsome appearance and a majestic temperament. He liked to make friends with intellectuals and righteous people all over the world. He also had a reputation of being honest and capable, so he was loved by Yuan Feng and Yuan Wei. However, his younger brother Yuan Shu often bullied and humiliated Yuan Shao because of his status as a concubine. And Yuan Shu himself liked to play with birds in cages and shoot hunting for fun. He looked like a playboy, so Yuan Shao didn't like Yuan Shu as his younger brother. Although the conflict between the two brothers has been kept secretly and not made public, it is not a secret among the princes. Therefore, if Yuan Shao wants to shirk and pretend to be humble, he will naturally not propose to let Yuan Shu go. After all, although Yuan Shu's personal reputation is not as good as his own, he has the same status and background as his own, and he is the legitimate son of the Yuan family, which is even slightly better than his own. Moreover, in addition to the official position of Nanyang prefect, he also had the official position of Ho General. The Ho General is the sixth highest official among the generals of the Han dynasty, second only to the Great General, Hussar General, Chariot General, Guard General and Former General. His official position is equivalent to the Shang Qing among the nine Qings. From the perspective of official position, Yuan Shu is far stronger than Yuan Shao. Even among the 19 princes, only King Lufeng has a higher official position than him. Therefore, if Yuan Shao pretends to shirk the position of leader of the alliance to Yuan Shu, I am afraid that many people who support him will also support Yuan Shu. Therefore, Yuan Shao only proposed that Lu Feng be the leader of the alliance and did not mention Yuan Shu. What Yuan Shao didn't expect was that Lu Feng would agree without hesitation, just like Yuan Shu. After all, he was just pretending to shirk in the first place, so he thought Lu Feng would also deliberately shirk like him. Therefore, he was prepared to accept the position of alliance leader as long as Lu Feng refused. After all, if even Lu Feng refuses to become the leader of the alliance, then only he is the most suitable leader. When Yuan Shayi proposed that Lu Feng be the leader of the alliance, everyone remembered that among the 19 princes, there was also King Bingjian who had been silent and sitting quietly in his seat in a low-key manner. After all, this King Bingjian was appointed by the late emperor himself, and he was the nominally most powerful person alongside the late emperor today. After all, according to the method of standing side by side with the first emperor, Lu Feng can be said to stand side by side with the father of the current emperor, that is, the supreme emperor. With such an identity, it would be unfair for someone else to serve as the leader of the alliance. What's more, the side-by-side King Lu Feng has already become famous all over the world. Both Wu Huan and Fuyu were beaten to a pulp by him, and they never dared to cross the line again. And Goguryeo directly destroyed the country and included the entire Goguryeo into the territory of the Han dynasty. With such military exploits, none of the other 18 princes can compare with Lu Feng. Even if the other 18 princes were put together, their total achievements would not be as good as King Bingjian. Therefore, as soon as Yuan Shao recommended Lu Feng, he immediately gained support from most people. In particular, Gong Sunzan, the governor of Beiping, and Sun Jian, the governor of Changsha, who had a good relationship with Lu Feng, strongly supported Lu Feng in becoming the leader of the alliance. When Yuan Shao saw this scene, his heart felt cold. He had been wary of Yuan Shu, thinking that Yuan Shu was the biggest obstacle to him becoming the leader of the alliance of princes, so he deliberately did not mention Yuan Shu and chose Lu Feng. However, he shot himself in the foot in the end. Lu Feng didn't say anything at first, and no one thought about Lu Feng. However, after he reminded him, all the princes remembered that there was someone sitting next to him who was the most powerful and famous person in the world. The human Lu Feng. At this time, Yuan Shao's intestines were filled with regret, but the words he said were like water thrown out, and he could not take them back no matter what. Therefore, he could only hope that Lu Feng was not interested in the position of alliance leader, or that he pretended to shirk it, and he would immediately accept the position of alliance leader. So when he heard Lu Feng agree directly without any hesitation, his face suddenly darkened. But after all, Lu Feng recommended it himself, so Yuan Shao could only break his teeth and swallow it. Cao, Liu Bei, Gong Sunzan, and others were also very surprised by Lu Feng's reaction. Although Lu Feng definitely deserved to be the leader of the alliance, he did not shirk at all, which still puzzled everyone. However, they had all seen with their own eyes the strength of Lu Feng and his army, and were very convinced of Lu Feng, so naturally they would not speak out against it. But Yuan Shu objected loudly. We and other princes each lead an army of no less than 10,000 people. King Bingjian only led 3,000 soldiers and horses. His own troops are not enough. How can he serve as the leader of the alliance? Important task. Faced with Yuan Shu's questioning, Lu Feng just said calmly, I am not the leader of the alliance because I jumped out to grab it, but because it was recommended by brother Ben Chu. And you, Yuan Gongli, are standing up to oppose it at this time. What do you mean? Do you think Yuan Shao's words are not weighty enough? Or do you think Yuan Shao is a bastard and cannot represent the Yuan family of the fourth generation and three dukes? After hearing Lu Feng's words, Yuan Shu suddenly lost his temper. Although the two brothers were at odds with each other, it was all private. Showing it to outsiders would only make people laugh at the misfortune of the Yuan family. And Yuan Shao also glared at Yuan Shu coldly. After Yuan Shu shut up, no one spoke out against Lu Feng's appointment as leader. So Lu Feng served as the leader of the alliance. With the choice of alliance leader decided, Lu Feng decided to send a vanguard army to attack Hulao Pass first. Lu Feng knew that historically Jiangdong Tiger Sun Jian served as the vanguard, but he did not want to appoint him like this. So Lu Feng said, if you want to invade Luoyang and kill the Dong thief, you must first pass through Hulao Pass. I decided to appoint Yuan Shao as the vanguard to attack Hulao Pass. Yuan Shu will be responsible for coordinating the food and grass transportation. He must transport the food to all the armies. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 186. In fact, Sun Jian had fought side by side with Lu Feng many times, and Sun Jian admired Lu Feng's strategy and martial arts very much. In his opinion, Lu Feng was one of the best in both strategy and martial arts. With him as the leader of the alliance, it was only a matter of time before he defeated the Dong thief. So he really wanted to win the first victory as a vanguard. Lu Feng appointed Yuan Shao as the vanguard. Sun Jian saw Yuan Shao's expression and seemed to be dissatisfied with Lu Feng's arrangement. So he took the initiative to invite Ying and said, Alliance leader, I have brought 10,000 Jiangdong men with me this time to attack the Dong bandits, and I have 4 generals, Cheng Piyu, Han Dang, Huang Gai, and Ziu Mao. I am willing to be the vanguard to attack Hulao Pass. The alliance army got off to a good start. Lu Feng was not surprised by Sun Jian's offer to join the army. After all, he will personally go into battle to kill the enemy in every battle, and he will be the vanguard, never timid in battle. However, Lu Feng knew that the person guarding Hulao was Hua Xiong, Dong Zhou's general. If Sun Jian went there, he would lose his troops just like in history. So Lu Feng said, Brother Wenta is a tiger from the east of the Yangtze River. Everyone knows his bravery and is the best candidate for the vanguard army. But Brother Wenta has lived in Jiangdong for a long time and is not familiar with the terrain of Luoyang and Hulao Pass. Again. In addition, this battle is the opening battle between our coalition of princes and Dongzhou. The people of the world, the civil and military officials of the DPRK and China, and the princes from all over the world are paying attention to us. Therefore, this battle can only be fought but cannot be defeated. Although I know that if Brother Wenta attacking Hulao Pass as a vanguard can still get a good start and win a complete victory, but it is inevitable that some troops will be wasted due to unfamiliarity with the terrain. Hulao Pass is just the first step for us to enter Luoyang to kill the Dong thief, and there will be more to come. An important task is waiting for Brother Wenta, so this king did not let Brother Wenta serve as the vanguard. Brother Ben Shui Euro has been an official in Luoyang all year round, and he has been an official to Salai Xiao Ei. It can be said that the whole of Luoyang and Hulao Pass Brother Ben Shui Euro must have memorized all the terrain. With this familiarity with the terrain, Brother Ben Shui Euro must be able to arrange his troops more calmly and choose the right place to set up an ambush. Therefore, Brother Ben Shui Euro is the vanguard and can, if you know yourself and the enemy, you will be victorious in every battle. In this way, our alliance army can use minimal losses to obtain the first victory in this war against Dong. Therefore, I am afraid that this achievement can only be given to Ben Chu. Brother. Sun Jian listened to Lu Feng's explanation and thought that what Lu Feng thought was very reasonable. After all, Hulao Pass is easy to defend but difficult to attack. If you are not familiar with the terrain, you will only waste your troops and it will be difficult to win. In this case, it is better to use the troops to enter Luoyang and kill the Dong thieves later. After understanding this, Sun Jian raised his hand to Lu Feng and said, I admire King Bingjian for his thoughtfulness. With King Bingjian as the leader, it will be just around the corner to conquer Luoyang. In response to Sun Jian's compliment, Lu Feng just waved his hand and said a few words of humility. Nothing more was said. Then, Lu Feng turned to look at Yuan Shao and asked, Brother Ben Chu, are you satisfied with this king's arrangement? Yuan Shao actually didn't want to be a vanguard. In his mind, he brought troops to join the coalition just to gain fame and did not want to waste his troops fighting. Because of this, he really wanted to become the leader. But now that the alliance leader has been decided and has nothing to do with him, his idea of a euro gaining fame without wasting troops has been shattered. However, when Lu Feng said that the vanguard army could achieve the first victory, Yuan Shao also realized that since he could not become the leader of the alliance, he could only gain fame through military exploits. The first battle between the coalition of princes and Dong Zhou's army will definitely go down in history. If he could win the alliance's first victory, Yuan Shao's reputation would surely resound throughout the Han dynasty and even go down in history. Even this first merit is more easily recognized by the people of the world than being the leader of the alliance. So Yuan Shao nodded and said, King Bingjian is the leader of our coalition of princes. I will naturally abide by your arrangement. Please rest assured, King Bingjian, I will definitely capture Hulao Pass. In fact, Yuan Shao's idea is very simple. If he can, after breaking Hulao Pass, there would be no danger to defend between Hulao and Luoyang. At that time, he could lead his army directly into Luoyang. After all, the purpose of the coalition of princes to attack Dongzhou is to enter Luoyang. It is best to kill Dongzhou. If not, it is not impossible to drive Dongzhou out of Luoyang. When the time comes for him to enter Hulao Pass, he no longer needs to listen to the orders of Lu Feng, the leader of the alliance, but directly leads his army into Luoyang and kills Dongzhou. In this way, all the credit belongs to Yuan Shao himself and has little to do with the coalition of princes. As for Lu Feng, he worked hard to become the leader of the alliance, but in the end he still didn't get any fame. Let's see what you have to be arrogant about. Lu Feng didn't know Yuan Shao's thoughts, but he still said, Brother Ben Chu, it is a good thing to have confidence. But you must not underestimate the enemy. Hua Xiong, the guard of Hulao Pass, is quite brave. Brother Ben Chu, please be careful. You must not take it lightly. Yuan Shao didn't take Lu Feng's words to heart and just raised his hand to show his understanding. Then Lu Feng said to Yuan Shu, brother Lu, food and grass are the foundation of an army. There is a saying in the art of war that the three armies go first before using food and grass, which shows the importance of food and grass to an army. It is precisely because food and grass are very important to us. It is important that I, the king, will send a capable and trustworthy person to be responsible for escorting the grain and grass. Therefore, Brother Highway has a long way to go. Although Brother Highway did not go to the front line in person, your importance to us, the 18th Root Princes Alliance, is enough to be among the best. Because Yuan Shu was not convinced by Lu Feng being the leader of the alliance, although Yuan Shu was not deaf to Lu Feng's words, his reaction was very cold. However, although Yuan Shu looked cold on the surface, he was actually happy in his heart. After all, transporting grain is a lucrative position. If he wanted to, he could even secretly take some of the grain and grass from various princes and transport it back to his own territory. And if you are at odds with someone, you can also secretly deduct the other party's food and grass. If he wins the battle, he, as a grain transport officer, will naturally work hard and achieve great results. Even if he fails, he will have nothing to lose. So Yuan Shu still likes this task very much. However, due to Yuan Shu's petty character, Lu Feng appointed Yuan Shao as the vanguard, which made Yuan Shu very dissatisfied. He was very afraid. If Yuan Shao really got off to a good start as Lu Feng said and successfully won the first victory in breaking through Hulao Pass, this was not what Yuan Shu wanted to see. After all, the current head of the Yuan family, Yuan Feng, is old, and the next head of the family has yet to be decided. The performance of Yuan Shu and Yuan Shao in this battle against Dong Zhou will most likely become the decisive factor. Therefore, Yuan Shu decided to use his power as grain officer to hold back Yuan Shao and cause him to be defeated. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 187. In fact, Yuan Shu's idea is very simple. Although he and Yuan Shao are cousins a euro in name, they are actually brothers. But even though they both belong to the Runan and Yuan families, their internal fighting has never stopped. After all, whether in the eyes of Yuan Shao or Yuan Shu, his own interests are far more important than the brotherhood between brothers. Especially when this brother is not recognized by himself. Apart from Yuan Shao's life experience, the only thing that can turn the two of them into enemies is the position of the future head of the Yuan family. Yuan Shao, who was originally a concubine, was not qualified to become the head of the Yuan family, and even his status in the Yuan family was pitifully low. But maybe it was because he had been looked down upon by his peers since he was a child that Yuan Shao learned to be tolerant from an early age. Even if he is not valued by his elders, even if he is bullied by his peers, he just hides these in his heart and turns these pains into motivation to make himself more perfect. So Yuan Shao studied hard, made friends, and behaved impeccably. He gradually gained fame in Runan and soon became the best among his peers. His hard work and dedication were noticed by the elders in the clan. Coupled with the change in temperament brought about by reading, he finally impressed the elders in the clan. So he quickly won the love of his father Yuan Feng and uncle Yuan Wei, and gradually came up with the idea of a euro making Yuan Shao the future head of the Yuan family. The only pity is that although Yuan Shao is the eldest son of the current head of the family, Yuan Feng, his mother was just a maid. She used some means to seduce Yuan Feng and gave birth to Yuan Shao. According to the convention at that time, it was impossible for Yuan Shao, a commoner, to become the head of the family. No matter how talented and capable Yuan Shao is, no matter how popular he is, if he, who is a concubine, is allowed to become the head of the family, then the Yuan family in Runan will inevitably become the laughing stock of outsiders. After all, the Runan Yuan family has 4 generations and 3 nobles, with disciples and former officials all over the world, and the resources at its disposal are definitely among the best in the world. Under such circumstances, every move of the Yuan family must be the focus of outsiders' attention, and even be the benchmark for the world's noble families. Therefore, to be the head of the Yuan family, even if he is not the person with the highest official position in the court, he should still be the person with the highest popularity and the most outstanding talents. If Yuan Shao is made the head of the family, it would be equivalent to admitting to the outside world that Yuan Shao is the most talented and outstanding person among the younger generation of the Yuan family. But Yuan Shao was a bastard. The Yuan family in Runan has so many resources and carefully cultivates so many young people in the family. Many of the legitimate sons are not as good as an unappreciated bastard. Isn't this a slap in the Yuan family's face? Therefore, even if he likes Yuan Shao much, Yuan Feng cannot let Yuan Shao become the head of the family. But what is helpless is that Yuan Shao is indeed so good compared to other children of his generation that Yuan Feng and Yuan Wei actually want to choose Yuan Shao regardless of outsiders' opinions. Fortunately, they finally came up with the best of both worlds, and that was adoption. Because Yuan Cheng had no sons, Yuan Feng decided to adopt Yuan Shao to Yuan Cheng. In this way, Yuan Shao became Yuan Cheng's only male heir, and thus had the right to become the head of the family. The generation of Yuan Feng, Yuan Wei, and Yuan Cheng worked very hard for the future of the Runan Yuan family and the next head of the family, and finally they were able to give Yuan Shao, the most outstanding of the next generation, the possibility of becoming the head of the family. But what Yuan Feng did deeply stimulated Yuan Shu. Yuan Shao, who was originally a commoner, no matter how outstanding he was, could not become the head of the family because of his family status, so the position of the head of the family was almost 80% certain to fall on Yuan Shu. After all, Yuan Shu was originally somewhat talented. Although he was not as good as Yuan Shao, he was still at the top among the children of other clans. In this way, coupled with his status as the eldest son of the head of the Yuan family, he would succeed as the head of the family with almost no effort. Therefore, he did not study hard. When he was young, he was famous for his chivalry. He often hunted and played with his buddies in the fields. He was a standard dandy who carried a cage to play with birds. But the brother Yuan Shao, whom he had always looked down upon, suddenly became Yuan Cheng's only male heir, and instantly gained the right to become the head of the family. This greatly stimulated Yuan Shu. Yuan Shu, who had already regarded himself as the future head of the family, naturally could not watch the power of the family head fall into the hands of others, especially Yuan Shao. So since Yuan Shao was adopted to Yuan Cheng, Yuan Shu changed his past laziness and began to study hard, study Confucian classics, learn legal knowledge, and even the art of war. Seeing Yuan Shu making huge changes and starting to make rapid progress, Yuan Feng was naturally very happy. After he came of age, Yuan Shu was recommended as Xiaolian, and was transferred to Henan and Huban Zhonglang generals many times. With the rise of Yuan Shu, it was almost certain that Yuan Shao would become the next head of the family, but something happened because of Yuan Shu. When Yuan Feng, Yuan Wei, and others saw Yuan Shu's changes and the identity of Yuan Shu's eldest son, they all began to waver. The battle for the head of the Yuan family has also started with Yuan Shu taking the lead, then Yuan Shao was almost certain, and now it has become an equal tie between Yuan Shao and Yuan Shu, with anyone having a chance. Because of this, the competition between Yuan Shao and Yuan Shu has become more intense, and it has developed from a mere battle for the head of the family to a point where almost everything must be competed. And this time the 19th Prince's allied forces to attack Dongzhou is the best opportunity to accumulate popularity and develop power. Naturally, there will be some competition between the two. So when Lu Feng appointed Yuan Shao as the vanguard to attack Hulao Pass, Yuan Shu was very worried. If it were other brothers, the elder brother would be on the battlefield and the younger brother would naturally be worried about his brother's safety. However, Yuan Shu is not the same. What he is worried about is that if Yuan Shao really breaks through Hulao and makes his first contribution, then he will have a few more bargaining chips in front of the old antiques of the Yuan family to compete for the head of the Yuan family. As a competitor, Yuan Shu was naturally very reluctant to see such a thing happen. Therefore, Yuan Shu, as the grain transport officer, refused to distribute grain to Yuan Shao. Lu Feng traveled from later generations and naturally knew that Yuan Shu was jealous of talents. No matter who was the vanguard, he would worry about the other party taking the lead and refuse to distribute grain. Therefore, Lu Feng asked Yuan Shu to transport grain and used Yuan Shao as the vanguard to turn their brothers against each other. The reason for doing this is not only to attack Yuan Shao and Yuan Shu, but more importantly, to establish prestige. He wanted the other princes to know that King Lu Feng was not a little white rabbit that could be provoked by anyone, but a fierce tiger that chose others to devour. As long as you make mistakes, for the sake of the interests and integrity of the alliance army, Lu Feng will never let anyone go. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 188. Yuan Shao, as the vanguard of the 19th Root Prince's allied forces, led the army in front of Hulao Pass and started a confrontation with Hua Xiong, the guard of Hulao Pass. In the first 3 days, Hua Xiong, the guard general of Hulao Pass, did not lead his troops to fight, but sat in the pass and commanded the battle. The person leading the troops under Yuan Shao was Gao Lan, a famous general in Hebei. Gao Lan, Yan Liang, Wenzhou, and Zhang He became the 4 court pillars of Hebei. Naturally, they were familiar with the art of war and were extremely brave. Under his command, Yuan Shao's vanguard army had the upper hand for the first 3 days, suffocating the Hulao Pass defenders. But 3 days later, the food and fodder carried by Yuan Shao's army ran out, but the food and fodder for the alliance army had not been delivered. As a result, Yuan Shao's army was short of food after 3 days. Because there was no food and grass, Yuan Shao's 20,000 troops had to fight hungry. However, without food, how could they use their full strength? Therefore, the high morale of Yuan Shao's army in the previous 3 days was wiped out. In Hulao Pass, Li Su, who was guarding the pass with Hua Xiong, soon discovered something unusual about Yuan Shao's army, so he immediately said to Hua Xiong, "General, there seems to be a problem within the alliance army. Yuan Shao, as the vanguard, the army's momentum is like a rainbow, its combat effectiveness is strong, and it has always had the upper hand. But today, when I observed the battle between the 2 sides, I found that the alliance army seemed to be in no condition, and it seemed that its morale had hit rock bottom. And just a quarter of an hour after the battle began, the alliance army kept retreating. And even felt that many people could not even hold the weapons in their hands. Therefore, the subordinates speculated that Yuan Shao's vanguard army must have run out of food and grass, and the subsequent food and grass had not yet been shipped. The lack of money in the army caused their combat effectiveness to be weak. Therefore, the general can take this opportunity to defeat Yuan Shao's army in one fell swoop, not only winning his first victory, but also directly annihilating all the 19 princes. This is a great achievement, and the Prime Minister will definitely reward the general if he knows it in the future." Hua Xiong's eyes suddenly brightened after listening to Li Su's suggestion. He quickly observed the status of the alliance army carefully and found that it was exactly what Li Su said. Li Su didn't mind whether he defeated all the princes. What he really looked forward to was Dong Zhou's reward. Now Dong Zhou has proclaimed himself Prime Minister and is in sole charge of the government. He holds supreme power and a lot of resources and wealth. If he can receive a reward, it will definitely be much greater than what he received before in Ziliang or Hedong. So Hua Xiong laughed and said, "Mr. Li Su, please don't worry. If Mr. Hua defeated the vanguard of the alliance army today and received the reward from the Prime Minister, Mr. Hua will naturally not forget Mr. Hua." Regarding Hua Xiong's promise, Li Su smiled softly. No more words. That night, at Li Su's suggestion, Hua personally led 2,000 elite soldiers to sneak attack Yuan Shao's military camp. 2,000 soldiers, all with their hooves wrapped around their horses, arrived in front of Yuan Shao's camp unnoticed by the darkness of night. Yuan Shao's soldiers had not eaten for a day and were already unbearably hungry. Even the soldiers guarding the barracks fell asleep one after another. Following Hua Xiong's order, 2,000 Ziliang elites came out instantly. Yuan Shao's 20,000-strong army was unprepared and had no numerical advantage. However, most of the soldiers not only did not wear armor, but they did not even know where to throw their weapons. So Hua Xiong led 2,000 Ziliang elites and massacred Yuan Shao's army with almost no resistance. Yuan Shao woke up in a hurry and looked at the situation in front of him. He knew that it was impossible to achieve the first victory, so he had to lead his army to break out. However, his army had been killed by Hua Xiong and fled in all directions, and almost no one obeyed Yuan Shao's command. Seeing that even Yuan Shao was about to be killed by Hua Xiong's army in the chaos, Gao Lan rushed over with less than 200 dead men at the critical moment. Under the protection of Gao Lan, Yuan Shao was finally able to escape. After daybreak, Yuan Shao gathered the remaining troops and gathered less than 5,000 people. So Yuan Shao had no choice but to retreat to the alliance army with his remaining troops. On the other side, Yuan Shu has been sending a large number of scouts to monitor Yuan Shao's movements. When he learned that Yuan Shao was defeated and escaped, he immediately arranged for someone to secretly kill the grain transport officer. After all, the main reason for Yuan Shao's defeat was that the army was out of food. As a logistics officer in the Alliance Army responsible for ensuring supplies in the rear, Yuan Shu would naturally be punished. Especially since Yuan Shao is still alive, he will definitely settle the score with him when he comes back. So when he decided not to transport food to Yuan Shao and cause him to be defeated, Yuan Shu had already thought of a countermeasure. He planned to kill the grain transport officer secretly and put all the blame on the grain transport officer. However, Yuan Shu's abacus was naturally very good, but he did not expect that Lu Feng had traveled from later generations and had already known Yuan Shu's little tricks. It turns out that Yuan Shu seized grain and grass in history, which led to Sun Jian's defeat, and even his general Ziu Mao was killed by Hua Xiong. At that time, Yuan Shu passed the responsibility to the grain transport officer. Therefore, even if Yuan Shao is the vanguard this time, Lu Feng is not sure whether Yuan Shu will do this again, but he still secretly sends the Red Blood Dragon Rider to monitor Yuan Shu's every move. So when Yuan Shu ordered people to secretly kill the grain transport officer, the two red-blooded dragon riders took action and rescued the grain transport officer in time. The next day, Yuan Shao fled back in embarrassment with thousands of remaining soldiers. When Lu Feng saw Yuan Shao, who was covered in filth and had fallen many times, he pretended to be surprised and asked Brother Ben Chui Euro has strong soldiers and horses, why are they in such a mess? Yuan Shao was so angry that he refused to ask Lu Feng's questions. Instead, he asked Yuan Shu Yuan Gongdao, as the logistics manager, why don't you distribute food and grass to our army? After listening to Yuan Shao's words, Lu Feng and everyone understood Yuan Shao's words. The reason for the great defeat. However, when Yuan Shu faced Yuan Shao's questioning, he naturally would not admit that he deliberately withheld food and grass. He pretended to be surprised and said, how come I don't distribute grain and grass to you, brother? What should be distributed has been sent out long ago. If it has not been delivered, it can only mean that it was detained privately by the grain transport officer or intercepted by the enemy. Grain and grass, kill the grain transport officer. As soon as Yuan Shu finished speaking, as if to verify his statement, a messenger ran in and reported to Yuan Shu that the grain transport officer had not returned since he left the day before yesterday and might have encountered something unexpected. This herald was naturally arranged by Yuan Shu long ago, but the other princes did not know it. After hearing the herald's words, they could only shake their heads and sigh, lamenting Yuan Shao's bad luck. However, at this moment, a red-blooded dragon rider came in and reported to Lu Feng, saying that he was a grain transport officer who was transporting grain and grass and wanted to see him. Lu Feng naturally let him in. When Yuan Shu saw the grain transport officer who had been sent to kill, he was so frightened that he felt like he had seen a ghost. Then the grain transport officer told the truth of the matter. After all the princes learned the truth, they were all angry with Yuan Shu, and Yuan Shao was so angry that he just wanted to kill Yuan Shu on the spot. So Lu Feng handed over the right to punish Yuan Shu to Yuan Shao, and it was up to him to decide how he wanted to deal with it. Although Yuan Shao really wanted to kill Yuan Shu, it not only avenged him, but also saved him from fighting over the family head. But Yuan Shu is the legitimate son of the Yuan family after all. If he kills Yuan Shu, he will not be able to stay in the Yuan family any longer. However, Yuan Shao was not willing to let Yuan Shu go, so he ordered people to drag Yuan Shu out and punish him with 50 big boards. Yuan Shu was beaten, and he held a grudge. The seeds for the brothers to turn against each other had been sown, and Lu Feng also established his authority and corrected military discipline. All these operations were seen by Cao. While he admired Lu Feng, he also became more vigilant. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 189. Lu Feng used Yuan Shu to establish his authority. With Yuan Shu's lessons learned, the other princes naturally did not dare to resist Lu Feng's orders. After all, Yuan Shu was not only the Queen General, with the highest official position among the 18 princes except King Bingjian, but he was also the legitimate son of the Yuan family in Runan, with a distinguished status. King Bingjian dared to punish even Yuan Shu without hesitation. If it were the rest of them, King Bingjian wouldn't kill them directly to enforce military discipline. After all, they did not have a prominent family like Yuan Shu, and even if they were executed by King Bingjian, no one would stand up for them. Therefore, in order to live longer and more comfortably, they would never dare to disobey King Bingjian's orders. Early the next morning, Hua Xiong, the guard general of Hulao Pass, could not contain his fighting spirit and wanted to go to the Allied army's formation to call for battle in person. Through the battle of the previous day, Hua Xiong had already seen that although the Alliance army had assembled an army of 19 princes with a total strength of 300,000 troops, which seemed to be huge, in fact, it was defeated by gold and jade. These princes all have their own agendas and cannot unify their thoughts and work together. A powerful battle. Even a disciple from a famous family like Yuan Shao could not avoid being plotted and giving up the victory that was about to be won. Wouldn't it be easier for other princes to deal with it? Moreover, discord before the battle is a taboo for military strategists. After Yuan Shao returns, he will definitely clash with the princes responsible for escorting the grain and grass. At that time, the coalition of princes will inevitably be divided into two factions. If Hua Xiong led his troops to call for battle at this time and fight against the coalition of princes, he might be able to defeat the 18 princes coalition in one fell swoop while they were in internal strife. Once the coalition forces are defeated, the coalition forces of the princes, which have already split into two factions, may be unwilling to fight and retreat directly. Hua Xiong told Li Su his idea, and Li Su also agreed. Moreover, Li Su analyzed that after Yuan Shao returned, there would inevitably be internal strife among the princes' coalition forces, and once there was internal strife, the princes' coalition forces would inevitably have inconsistent orders. He told Hua Xiong to attack as soon as possible and defeat the opponent as soon as possible while the internal strife among the princes' coalition forces was still unresolved. Hua Xiong was overjoyed when he saw that Li Su agreed with him. In this way, wouldn't he become the only hero in Dong Zhou's army who defeated the coalition of princes? In this way, Dong Zhou will definitely reward himself heavily. Thinking of Dong Zhou's reward, Hwaseong wanted to kill all the princes immediately. However, although Hwaseong and Lee Suk planned well, they did not expect that the coalition of princes had already elected Lu Feng as the leader of the alliance. And under the leadership of Lu Feng, Yuan Shao and Yuan Shu, who almost broke out in internal strife, had to suppress the anger in their hearts. This also ensured the stability within the alliance army and did not split into two factions. Hwaseong didn't know this. He came to the camp of the 18 Princes coalition and called for formation arrogantly. In the camp of the allied forces of the princes, Yuan Shu was angry because he deliberately refused to provide food to Yuan Shao and was beaten 50 times by Yuan Shao in front of the princes. As the saying goes, the Lord is worried about the humiliation of his ministers, and the Lord is concerned about the death of his ministers. Yuan Shu was beaten and lost face. Naturally, many of his generals wanted to help him regain face and vented their anger. Just when Hwaseong came to call for formation, Yu Shi, a brave general under Yuan Shu's command, volunteered and came out to fight Hwaseong. His idea was simple. Yuan Shao was defeated by Hwaseong in the battle with Hwaseong. So as long as he, Yu Shi, could kill Hwaseong in front of the battle, he would be able to prove that he was far stronger than all the generals under Yuan Shao. This proved to the princes that Yuan Shu's men were full of talents and were far stronger than Yuan Shao. Hwaseong, who beat Yuan Shao into a panic and fled, was easily killed by Yuan Shu with only one young general. This was enough to humiliate Yuan Shao and let everyone know that Yuan Shu was far stronger than Yuan Shao. With this idea in mind, Yu Shi rode his horse to the front of the battle. When Hwaseong saw that he had been calling for a long time, a general finally came out and shouted excitedly, "Who is coming? Hwa will not kill the unknown general with his sword." Yu Shi was about to clear the name of his lord Yuan Shu, so he responded, "Yu Shi, under the command of General Yuan Shu, came to ask General Hwa for advice." However, Hwaseong just laughed and said, "General, since the day you raised troops, the Prime Minister has already withdrawn the Emperor's order. All of you have been banned from your positions. Now you are just a group of treacherous officials and traitors of the Han dynasty. How can you have the dignity to call yourself a general?" After hearing Hwaseong's words, Yu Shi was furious, clamped the horse's belly, and immediately raised his knife to Hwaseong. Seong rushed away. When Hwaseong saw Yu Shi rushing toward him, he was in no hurry to move. It was not until Yu Shi came to him and slashed at him with his knife that he raised the long knife in his hand to resist. Yu Shi's sword used the power of the horse's running and struck him head on. When he saw Hwaseong, he didn't even move. He stood on the spot and blocked the sword with his sword. It was so powerful that Yu Shi thought that this blow would definitely kill him. Hwaseong beheaded him. However, he didn't expect that the knife hit Hwaseong's horizontal sword shaft, but Hwaseong remained motionless and his expression remained unchanged. He even raised the corners of his mouth slightly, full of disdain. However, Yu Shi's blood surged, and his full strength was rebounded by a single blow. His throat became sweet and he spit out a mouthful of blood. As soon as the two sides fight, a verdict will be drawn. Yu Shi knew that he was no match for Hwaseong, so he left without caring about his face. However, how could Hwaseong simply let him go? Naturally, he rushed over and chopped off Yu Shi's head from behind. The huge head flew up, and the war horse ran back carrying the headless corpse. The blood spurted out, dyed the ground red. Such a horrific scene shocked the Union soldiers. At this time, Yuan Shu and other princes were waiting for news in the Chinese army's tent. When Yu Shi came out of the battle, the shouts of his soldiers were deafening, but within a breath, the whole place fell silent. Everyone looked at each other, wondering what happened. But Lu Feng knew that Yu Shi must have been killed instantly by Hwaseong. Sure enough, then the messenger came in and said loudly, "Everyone is in trouble, generals. General Yu went to fight against Hwaseong, and was beheaded by Hwaseong in just one round." The princes were shocked when they heard this, and several more the princes sent out their generals to fight. However, Without exception, these people were killed by Hwaseong one by one, and no one could even survive 3 rounds. Facing Hwaseong's powerful force, everyone was surprised. Just when everyone was at a loss what to do, Jizhu Hanfu took over. He first looked around at the generals sitting there with a smile, and then said the words that have been passed down through the ages. Don't panic, everyone. There is no need to be afraid of Hwaseong. I have General Pan Feng who can kill Hwaseong. Lu Feng couldn't help but twitch the corners of his mouth slightly when he heard these familiar words, but he still agreed to fight. 3 Kingdoms, I have a job transfer palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 190. As a time traveler, Lu Feng naturally knew that Pan Feng was just a mediocre general. Although he is tall and majestic, seems to be powerful, and is good at using a big axe, in fact, his strength may not be as good as that of a red blood dragon rider soldier. What is ridiculous is that his Lord Hanfu actually called him a general. Being able to treat a fool general as a general and insisting that he can kill Hwaseong on such an important occasion is enough to show that Hanfu is nothing more than a fool. For such a person, Lu Feng didn't care at all whether he lived or died, so he naturally wouldn't stop him from going into battle and dying. Moreover, Hanfu regarded Pan Feng as a general in his hands and asked him to fight, so he naturally valued him very much. Even if he told him that Pan Feng was not Hwaseong's opponent, Hanfu would definitely not believe it, and it was very likely that Hanfu would think that he looked down on him, so he would not let him send people to fight. In this case, it will inevitably cause discord among the generals and affect the development of the army. Therefore, Lu Feng could only acquiesce to Pan Feng to challenge Hwaseong. Hwaseong killed several generals of the alliance army, each one effortlessly within 3 moves. He had long since become bored. So when I saw a burly general holding a big axe coming, I thought that the other party had finally sent a decent general to fight with me, and my interest suddenly increased. So Hwaseong asked, I don't know what this general's name is. Please tell me quickly to avoid being treated as an unknown ghost in hell. Pan Feng heard Hwaseong's ridicule and immediately said, Your grandfather's name is Pan Feng. The dog thief Hwaseong has been rampant for so long, now let your grandpa Pan send you to see the king of hell. After Pan Feng finished speaking, he slashed at Hwaseong with a big axe, and the two of them fought together instantly. Hwaseong originally looked at Pan Feng's figure and thought he was a fierce general. However, when they fought, he found that he was just showing off. He felt upset, so he increased his speed and chopped Pan Feng off his horse with a single blow. All the princes were anxiously waiting for the result in the Chinese army's tent. Seeing everyone's frown, Hanfu comforted them. Don't worry, everyone. Pan Feng is a famous general in Jizhu. He is very powerful and can basically swing a battle axe. It's rare to meet an opponent, and it won't be long before he brings Hwaseong's head to see him. Lu Feng listened to Hanfu's words and sneered in his heart. He originally thought that Pan Feng was overestimating his own abilities, knowing full well what his martial arts skills were. How dare you challenge Hwaseong in a duel? It would be a pity to die without self-awareness. However, now it seems that although Pan Feng himself does not know how he views his martial arts, Hanfu is indeed blind and cannot see how weak Pan Feng is. While he was talking, the noise outside suddenly stopped, and Hanfu said with a smile, Pan Feng must have killed Hwaseong. Everyone relaxed their brows after hearing Hanfu's confident words. However, it was not Pan Feng that everyone was waiting for, but the herald. The moment they saw the herald, all the princes were already prepared. Then the herald said, Generals, General Pan fought with Hwaseong for less than 3 rounds, and was killed by Hwaseong again. When everyone heard this, they were all shocked. The 5 generals who appeared on the scene were all killed by Hwaseong in 3 or 5 rounds. This made many princes who had never been on the battlefield look frightened. At this time, Hwaseong killed 5 generals in a row, but it took less than 20 rounds in total. This made him feel very unsatisfied, so he yelled and cursed in front of the battle. The princes in the big tent were angry when they heard Hwaseong's scolding, but when they thought of his bravery in killing 5 generals just now, they didn't know what to do. At this time, Xiahedun could not stand Hwaseong's curses and wanted to go to war. However, Cao did not know how strong Xiahedun was at this time. He was only worried that he would make some mistake, so he did not agree to Xiahedun's fight. Gao Lan, who was in Yuan Shao's formation, also wanted to fight to avenge his shame, but was stopped by Yuan Shao. Yuan Shao had already suffered heavy losses at the hands of Hwaseong and lost most of his troops. At this time, he wanted to see the other princes suffer, so he secretly blocked Gao Lan and prevented him from going to the battle. At the same time, Yuan Shao deliberately pretended to sigh, "It's a pity that my generals Yan Liang and Wen Zhou are not here. Otherwise, as long as one of them is here, how can one Hwaseong be allowed to be so rampant?" After hearing Yuan Shao's words, Lu Feng sneered in his heart. Since Yuan Shao came to join the coalition, he deliberately did not take his top general with him. Obviously he did not want to waste his troops. At this time, he deliberately said such words, which made Lu Feng feel that he was very hypocritical. Just as Yuan Shao finished speaking, a person behind Gong Sunzan shouted, "Young general, I am willing to cut off Hwaseong's head and offer it under the tent." Everyone looked at the speaker and saw that his body was 9 feet long and his beard was 2 feet long. He has red phoenix eyes, lying silkworm eyebrows, a face like a heavy jujube, and a sound like a huge bell, standing in front of the tent. At first glance, he looks like a tiger general. Everyone curiously asked who this person was, and Gong Sunzan replied, "This is Guan Yu, Lu Suan's sworn brother." Everyone asked him what his position was, and Gong Sunzan replied, "I am a horse archer under Lu Suan, the commander of my other department." After Gong Sunzan finished speaking, Lu Feng Hanmei spoke, and Yuan Shu, who was lying prone in the tent, shouted, "Are you deceiving our princes that we have no generals? With your little archer, you dare to talk such nonsense? Come quickly. Let me beat him out." When Cao saw Guan Yu's appearance, he felt that this man must be an extraordinary person, so he hurriedly stopped Yuan Shu and said, "Calm down the road. Since this man dares to speak big words, he must be brave. I think it can be done. Try asking him to fight. If he can't defeat Hwaseong, it won't be too late to punish him." Yuan Shao said, "If you send an archer to fight, you will be laughed at by Hwaseong." Cao replied, "This man has a good appearance. How did Hwaseong know that he was an archer?" Guan Yu also said at this time, "If Guan is defeated, please behead him." Cao asked someone to bring him a cup of hot wine and said to Guan Yu, "Strong man, please drink this bowl of hot wine. To strengthen your courage." Guan Yu said, "Pour down the wine. If someone goes, he will come back. When someone comes back, he can taste the general's wine." Lu Feng knew that there was a saying in history that Yu Wenwen killed Hwaseong, and he was suppressing the Yellow Turban during the rebellion. Guan Yu and Lu Feng attacked Guangzhou together. At that time, Lu Feng saw Guan Yu's strength with his own eyes. So he knew that Guan Yu was a strong one among the super generals, and he was more than enough to kill a second-rate general like Hwaseong, so he said, "If Yun Chang comes out, he will definitely win a great victory. You go ahead, I am waiting here, you return in triumph." After hearing Lu Feng's words, Guan Yu raised his hand towards Lu Feng, then came out of the tent, raised his sword, and flew onto his horse. Then everyone heard a burst of shouting from the soldiers outside, and then their voices suddenly stopped, thinking that Guan Yu had also been killed by Hwaseong, so they all shook their heads and sighed. However, suddenly the tent door was opened, and Guan Yu walked in with something on the ground, saying, "Guan is lucky to have lived up to his fate." Everyone saw that the thing on the ground turned out to be a human head. At this time, Cao brought the wine glass and said, "Yun Chang is indeed brave. This wine is still warm.